Welcome, everybody, to the Making Awesome podcast. This is episode 201. It's a solo show because I've had one hell of a week. But before we get too deep into that, huge thank you to everyone here showing up live. Thank you for, being cool with me not streaming on Wednesday, because that not streaming on Wednesday means we get to talk about what I was doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. For those that don't follow me on Twitter, Friday was also a little bit difficult. We went down to Micro Center. I spent more money than I care to admit. And then I had a blowout of my front passenger tire on the way home. So that was fun. That was 2:30 in the morning. Because I have family in Miami, for those that don't know. That poster's probably going to fall in the background. I hope it doesn't. I should fix that real quick. If it falls, I'll fix it. But that's what we're going to be talking about. Because that was the event that I was at. It was the Innovation Foundry 16 with sofwerx. Sofwerx is they're a business that is also military that assists small businesses in doing business with the military. Yeah, it's kind of cool. You could easily call it a front for the government if you wanted, but I don't always do that. sofwerx is an awesome place that lets small businesses pretty much skip the bidding process. If you've ever been involved in the bidding process for stuff, it sucks. So a couple of months back, they put out, and they do this often. So if you want to be involved in these things, you can go to sofwerx and sign up for their emails. But they put out something called the Innovation Foundry request to attend form, which included a full CV. So you had to submit a CV, otherwise known as a resume here in the States, but, call it what it is. It's a CV. 325 people were chosen. 60, they said 80, but 60 only were there. It doesn't matter. We'll go on the high side. 80 people were chosen as subject matter experts to participate in this event. I was one of them. I was chosen as a additive manufacturing and rapid prototyping subject matter expert for the group, which is super cool. Okay, so Special Operation Forces thinks I'm a subject matter expert. That's kind of cool. Come on, that's kind of cool. But we went through this fictional gamified scenario that occurs in 2030 that they called the Straits of Adversaria. So they're obviously countries, but they're using generic names. We had Adversaria, Democratia, Clientia, Partnerland, Neutralia, and what was the other one? There was a city-state called Newport. And we had certain tasks that we had to do to help out the operators that were on this fictional property. So, what I didn't realize, I'm this is going to be an awesome event. We're going to be, looking at theoretical technology and implementing it. What I didn't realize is that the people that they were going to put us with were professional team builders. I've never worked with a professional team builder before, and this event was totally free. Now, I didn't get paid for 3 days. I did 3 days worth of work down in Tampa, then had to come back up to the shop and do 3 more days of work. You feel me? So I didn't sleep much. But I've never worked with a professional team builder before. So the person that ran mine was David Deaton. He is... I love his personality. He's a great person, and quite frankly, if we had a really local team and, we had a brick and mortar, I would probably be bringing him in to do work with our team, because this event had people from all over the world, people flying as far as Perth, Australia. And on our team, we had a member of the Swedish special forces. So he's a member of the Swedish special forces, which is pretty damn cool. Okay. The dude gave us a very obvious burner email to stay in touch. I'm oh, this is totally what I expect from a special operations guy. And we also had an individual who was not pictured in the thumbnail, who was on Army Futures, who I connected with quite well. He was, I don't even want to give out his name, because he didn't want to be in any photos. He had a red lanyard on. My lanyard was orange, which means I'm from small business. And we'll talk about these in a little bit as well. I'm on Team 3. We did not win 3rd place. There was no winners. I made these, and we're going to talk about why. But going through this whole event got me thinking about team building a little bit because I've never done anything with a professional team builder, and I'd never met any of these other people in my life. And professional team building is kind of a big deal because, like, this is normally like $10,000 to $15,000 that the stuff that we got. Now, unfortunately, these people all went back to their day jobs. We had people from Lockheed Martin, Duke University, a few other small businesses similar to 3D Musketeers, in their size, I guess, not in what they do. But it was a really, really unique event. I want to go through the scenario with you all because I think that'd be something that you might actually enjoy to kind of learn more about. But before we go too deep into that, remember, we do have a printed solid Jesse filament giveaway. Make sure to like the stream, subscribe, and all of that. We'll do the giveaway at the end because started doing that. It looks like it's doing better for the people that listen audio only, because that way they don't have to listen to all that. I can actually end the recording before we do the actual giveaway. So there were 8 teams. Okay, 8 total teams. I was on Team 3. Team 3 specifically. And for reference, I think we'll be able to read that at the bottom if it focuses. But it says, Distribution A, approved for public distribution. Approved for public release. Distribution is unlimited. So I can talk about this. We are not under non-disclosures. However, I have been asked not to share any of the solutions because part of this thing is you come up with your own solutions. So, Team 3 is commercial solutions for expeditionary use. Scenario: adversary has increased its aggressive actions in close proximity to Democratia and has been using its presence in North Clientia to conduct surveillance and jamming in Democratian territory. A unit of 20 SOF operators, that's Special Operation Forces, operators, has been deployed near the dense urban environment of North Clientia's capital city. The environment is semi-permissive. Semi-permissive means that there are likely enemies around, but you can move around the city reasonably okay. Don't go out in military clothing. Go out in your civvies if you need to, but you'll be all right. And they can access commercial solutions in the field if needed. As part of their mission, they require the ability to create ad hoc sensors to protect their perimeter, bespoke radio solutions for communicating undetected, and creating surveillance equipment. These solutions lack ingress protection and hardening. Operators can break the system down to their minimum electronic components, but require a solution for ruggedizing them in expeditionary use. So, I want to show you guys, there's a bit of a map there. The map is not immediately required, but that can give you the map. You can take a guess of what that is. I know what it looks like to me. So, there were 3 total teams, okay? Team 1 was energy generation, Team 2 was batteries and alternative fuels, Team 3 was commercial solutions. That was the team that I was on. Team 4 was salvage, Team 5 was repair, Team 6 was maritime surface support systems, Team 7 was subsurface cache, and Team 8 was autonomous delivery and resupply. They had a total of 80 participants. It's all I'm reading off of the thing. Total of 80 participants, 40% were small business, 10% large business, 20% academia, 20% government, 5% operators, and 5% wildcard. So that kind of brings us to our scenario, okay? And you might say, Grant, why the hell are you going through this? This has nothing to do with team building. It does, and I'm going to get to why. But I have to set the stage for you guys to understand what we're looking at. So, we had 3 total tasks. Those tasks were to create a solution for leveraging low-cost, off-the-shelf parts to support operators conducting surveillance and gathering information in a non-permissive environment. Okay? So we are in a semi-permissive, but we are building stuff for people in a non-permissive environment. Okay? Identify field expedient options for off-the-shelf technology to meet immediate operator requirements. So that is, can you go to town, find stuff off the shelf that actually just friggin' works, minimum modifications, get the stuff in the field, get the operators' eyes in the sky should they need it. And then identify solutions for ruggedizing these systems for expeditionary use. So, make them strong. Our considerations were that we had to collaborate with other teams to identify operational needs and energy requirements. Great. That's pretty easy for us. We have to identify ways to employ AI in any stage of operations or creation. That was the funny one, because we actually came up with a great solution for that. I might talk about that one a little bit because I think it's a really, really great solution. And I just will be very vague about it, so I'm not like pissing anybody off. But every team had that constraint. Every team had to utilize AI in some way. And I don't know if that's because they think that AI is going to be much bigger in 2030, because this, of course, takes place in the future, or they were just looking to have us be a little bit creative. But I think that we employed AI in a really, really good way. Our constraints were that we lack militarized electronics or hardware to meet the dynamic operational needs. All of us said that's a benefit. That's not a constraint. Militarized electronics mean they're 6 years old and they're still using them. Non-militarized means we can hit bleeding edge equipment and not have any issues. Solutions must avoid steep learning curves to avoid perishable skills training. Other groups had a lot to do with 3D printing. Mine didn't, which was odd. I still question why I was there, but I'm glad to be part of the group. It was awesome, and some of my skills of just basic project management, assisting others, just kind of being a chameleon were quite useful in this whole thing. But the perishable skills training was one they said 3D printing is one of the current problems that the military has with perishable skills training. It takes months for people to get really good at it and days for them to forget it all. And that's one of those weird things that I've been talking about for so freaking long. That there is no good education system out there for 3D printing. Like, you can't just go get a printer that is approved for military use. Please remember that specific thing. But even, like you say, we'll grant a bamboo you can use off the shelf. You can't. You cannot use a bamboo off the shelf that doesn't have an internet connection without any skills at all. It doesn't work. You need an internet connection to make some of that stuff work. I'm going to keep moving through. AI solutions must be operational at the edge without access to the internet. That's the other one. So you have to have an edge computing device. Think Raspberry Pi, ESP32, a framework laptop that you've broken up into pieces, that kind of stuff. And the environment is tropical, semi-permissive, and urban. Okay, so that is the entire scenario for this event. The team building aspect was the big thing that I enjoyed. And Kurt Gluck says, sounds like a fun, intense experience. And it totally was. It was 3 very difficult days, okay? A lot of these people came from, we're going to go with small business in quotes, because according to the government, small business is like up to 5 million in annual revenue. We were probably the smallest business that was there. So one of the fun problems you have when you're looking to grow a business is that you have the hit by a bus problem. If you get hit by a bus, your company ceases to exist, right? There's no one to step in and take over. There is nobody to step in and take over for 3D Musketeers should I become incapacitated mentally, physically, or otherwise. So that means for the time of 8 to 5, which is when we were there, I really couldn't check my email, couldn't do much on my phone. I could, ping Discord every 20, 30 minutes when we had a break, but I really couldn't get any real work done. So I had to come home, do all of my work for that day, and then try to find time to sleep. I didn't get much sleep. I got 5 hours of sleep in 3 days, to give you guys an idea. And then, Friday, 5 a.m., I drive to Miami. Fun times. For the opening of Micro Center. Totally worth it. We're going to talk about that at the end as well. But every team had a professional team builder. So every team had a person that was to guide you, right? To help keep you focused, keep you from, messing around, if you will. And his name was David Deaton of Deaton Consulting. You can look him up on LinkedIn. He's very happy to have me share his name. The man is basically a professional team builder. And they've been working on this scenario. And this is number 16. So they've been 15 others. This is number 16. And they do these all the time. This is David's 3rd that he's worked on, if I remember correctly. And they're from all over the country. right? And again, we had people from all over the world flying in. We had a guy from Sweden on our team, and a guy that was I think he's from the UK, but I'm not certain that he currently lives there, right? I could definitely tell the ones that were not educated in the United States because their handwriting was legible. That was the joke that we had. But David basically took day one to have us do a lot of thought experiments where we would ask questions about the event, ask questions about our scenario, go to other teams, ask questions about their scenario, and learn about everything that was going on around us. The bulk of it was to learn about our specific scenario, but we needed to know about others because we needed to participate with them, right? Talk to them, work with them, that kind of thing. But in day two, I realized what day one actually was. Day one was to size up who we were as individuals, right? Because we're going to start having to work as a team. So the first half of day one was really David watching all of us to see how we work and how we work together as a team. Because eventually we were split up into sub-teams on our team. And I was put with the perfect people for me to be with. A gentleman who does a lot of research, did his postdoctorate at Harvard, just crazy smart individual, has a little bit of additive manufacturing experience, and then an individual from Army Futures who we will leave nameless. There, Grant, you're jittery still because you're still recovering from all the BS that's happened this past week. The Army Futures guy was amazing. If it's not obvious, I've never served time in the U.S. military. And that means I don't exactly know how to talk in military speak. Let me give you an example. When we had all of our ideas up on the board, so we had tons of sticky notes. I have tons of sticky notes too. But we had to present these to people from the U.S. military, which means you can't use non-military speak. Here's one that I was assisted in writing. Problem: warfighter lacks basic toolkit to dismantle and maintain ruggedized system solutions in a semi-permissive environment. The way I would say that is they don't have the hand tools they need to make the stuff that they need to make. But that's not how the military talks. I had to learn how to talk about military, which was an interesting experience for me because multimodal is not a word you hear outside of it, outside of hospitals and military. Semi-permissive permissive or non-permissive is not really what I hear outside of military. And so that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to learn things that I didn't know a ton about previously. And it's one of them was crazy smart on the chemical side and on the materials side. I'm smart on the making things work side. So what electronics are we looking for? What do we need to get? How do we make it work? And then we had the Army Futures guy who understands exactly how military works and is able to say, they're not going to go for this. A soft operator is not going to be able to go for this. How do we figure out ways around it? I was on a perfect team for me. It's we weren't missing anything to do the couple of issues that we had, which I will say from a team building perspective is absolutely amazing, right? This individual absolutely figured out who each of us were and put us on teams where every one of us would thrive. And that's a big deal when you're looking at professional team building, because ultimately your team is actually divided into sub-teams, right? At 3D Musketeers, we have very obvious sub-teams, right? We have the media team, the engineering team, and the chameleon team. The chameleon team can work in any of the fields. The engineering team is obviously engineering. The media team is media. Engineering and media do not cross, right? In fact, in our company Discord, engineering can't see anything of media, and media can't see anything of engineering because it would confuse the both of them. It's of no value to them. They don't get to see it. If they want to see it, they can ask, but then they move to a chameleon role, which is always an interesting one. Get some water if you haven't had any. But I think that is a really important thing to discuss, because if you don't understand that even in the if you work in a day job like an office, they you find that people have these like cliques. Is that the right word to say? I don't know. That's the word that you would have used when I was in high school, right? But people kind of fall into their each category of like the people they hang out with, the people that are their friends. And that means that they know how to work with each other. And when you're trying to do team building, you don't always want to put those people on the same team because it just kind of reinforces that it's us versus them. Mr. Deaton didn't do anything of the sorts. He put us with people that ultimately were going to challenge our way of thinking, that they were going to question why we said what we said and ask for results, right? Ask for reasons and ask for, any background that you might have. Because this event was fully public and there were people like a guy on my team was from Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin knows a lot of things that I don't know. So you have to be careful about the things that you say. Right? Even we had to be careful about some of the things that we said because there were technologies that we have worked on that we have not and will not be public about for many years. That could have been incredibly valuable to this event, but we couldn't say any of it because this event is all for public release, right? At the end of day one, this is where we're going to get into the medals real quick. At the end of day one, we were talking about a team logo, right? Just something that we could all really enjoy. We had about 10 minutes at the end of the day. I was the only one that lived local. Everybody else flew in from other areas. And again, a guy from Sweden. So we had people from other countries that were flying in. And they made a logo in, this was Chat GPT, but it's the DALL-E AI image generation. And I said, I'm going to make something with that. And so I made this. Oh, you'll focus eventually, won't you? Please? 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 Focus! Thank you! That's what I made. I made our badge. So we were team 3, so there's a 3 in the middle. It's Innovation Foundry 16, the Straits of Adversaria, it's at sofwerx, and it was August of 2024. This wasn't everything that was in the AI one that we generated, but it was all that we could 3D print. I had 12 of these made overnight. I started production at around 12:30 in the morning. I finished production around 3 o'clock in the morning. I finished working around, 5:30? And I had to leave the house by 6:15, 6:30 to get there on time. And thank you to Miss Amber for calling me all of those times because she knew that I was going to have a hard time waking up. Also, I used my Ember Prototypes plate for it. Hilariously, the Bamboo was supposed to do these because I'm like, it's the fastest printer that I have, period. Like, it is the fastest machine that we have to do single color prints like this. It had a huge issue. We're going to talk about it on Print Fix Friday. I still don't know what happened, but we're going to talk about it on Print Fix Friday. So I took the plate and I put it on the Mark 4S. The Mark 4S and the Mark 4 and one of the Mark 3s behind me did all the badges that we ended up making. Yes, all of them. Because when I brought badges for everybody, the commander, and I'm not just saying that because he was the boss, he was a commander in full military BDU, came over and said, "What, you think because you made medals you're something special? You don't have enough for the whole class." I'm like, okay. He's like, I was joking. I'm like, okay. But he didn't expect that overnight I would produce enough for the entire group of people. And in fact, I still have spares. See, when somebody makes that jokingly, not understanding that, 1, I'm local, so I can do this, and 2, I have an entire army of printers that can, and easily can, stand up an entire manufacturing division overnight, they didn't expect me to be able to do it. So I made ones for everybody else with 16 on them because it was number 16. I wasn't going to make ones for each group because I can make them in batches of 6. So I said, all right, I can make them in batches of 6. Each team has between 6 and 10 people. So I have to make at least 2 per team. Well, that means I have a lot of waste because I'll have a lot. So I said, all right, I'm going to use the number 16. Everybody got one that wanted one. In fact, I have a few more of the blue ones. The ones that are missing that you don't see, that all got taken, were the olive green or the army green uh, ones. So that was my fun contribution. It was the first time that someone had ever produced something for one of these events, and yeah, they said it was also the coolest thing that somebody has ever made on the fly for an event ever at sofwerx. So I will gladly take that as something fun, because we were able to quickly stand up, not only design that I did all this in Fusion 360. Actually, I did it live in our Discord on Fusion 360, but also be able to produce enough in less than 24 hours for literally everybody to take one home that wanted one. For me, that was my way of connecting with other teams. I'm not a big fan of getting credit for all of this stuff, right? I just wanted to help. And one of the guys on our team, his name was Scott. He's like, dude, you got to go give these out. I said, nah. When people come over to talk to us, I'm going to offer them one. Word will get around that there are ones available. People will come to get them. He's like, no, man, you got to go get the credit for this. I said, dude, I don't want any credit for this. I just want people to have something cool that they can remember this event from, they can take home, that they can enjoy, that can be a little bit special to them, and that is more than just a colored lanyard and a sticky name tag, right? I want to do something a little bit special for everybody because I'm local. I have the capability to do it. David told me that was actually a huge sign and a huge benefit of being flexible, is that I noticed that everyone really liked the ones that we made, and I said to myself, well, that means everybody should have one. So I did it. He said that shows that you like playing and working with others. I said, yep, I do. I just don't always find a good team. That's where the whole team building aspect came in, and I realized day 2 that's what David actually does. David is a professional team builder. Kurt says, you probably did a lot of rapid prototyping by producing these custom overnight. You are the Kinkos of 3D. I mean, yeah, I guess. There is a part of that as well. But David also made an offhanded comment that he wishes he had gold stars because he could give us all gold stars as we were coming up with good ideas. So I made 30 gold stars. And I gave some to everybody on the team to hand to David every single time he told us an idea was good. And throughout the day, I was putting them in David's backpack. I don't know if you ever found it, but the rest of them that I had, I put into a bag, and I wrote on the back of one of my business cards, never be without your gold stars. And I put them in his bag. Hopefully he doesn't see that as like a intrusion of his personal space. His bag was open. I just kind of dropped it in there when he wasn't paying attention. But I thought it was funny, right? One of the guys had talked about jamming all the time, so we were joking about him being the jammer, and so I brought him some homemade jam. Because again, that kind of stuff was funny. The entire team loved it. And, I saw it as just one of those ways to build team morale. He thought it was great. It was a pomegranate cinnamon jam. Ultimately, I believe that team building is making sure that everybody feels valued, cared for, and just overall a part of something greater. Rather than, and I'm sure if you haven't been this person, you've seen it happen to these people, where somebody will want to be a part of a team, but that team has already kind of connected. They know each other. It's a thing. And because of that, this person or these few people are kind of cast aside and they're not included as part of the group. I know it's happened to me plenty of times where I feel like very left out or underutilized or undervalued or just overall not really deserving of worth in a team of people that very clearly had value. And David did a great job of making sure that nobody felt that way. And that was super cool. I've never had that experience before. And as someone that really, really likes working with other people because I like learning about who they are. This is like the perfect opportunity for me to understand what this was all about. Bearded Printer with the $5, dude. Hey, thank you. By the way, if you guys do feel especially generous, we do keep these streams ad-free so that you should theoretically be able to watch this without any interruptions at all. Every now and then we do ask for a couple of bucks into that creator fund to help out. It can be in the form of a super chat, a membership, Patreon, PayPal, YouTube channel members, all of that thing. And of course, if you do join, you get some awesome inside access to behind the scenes videos, extra content. $10 tier and higher gets you to come hang out in our private Discord where you get lots of extra stuff. And you also get to hang out with myself and the entire 3D Musketeers team directly. And as a lot of people in our Discord server will tell you, I am hanging out all the time. I would say that this event really made everybody think outside of the box. Because it's not often that you have to think about, all right, we have all this cool tech today, but what will tech be like in 6 years? Remember, it's 2024. This takes place in 2030. In fact, you can kind of see it there. It's contested logistics in future soft operations 2030. That is a poster that says everything that I just read to you. They had posters for everybody. I'm going to be hanging it up somewhere. I don't know where. But to me, it's a really cool memento outside of the medals. But I made those medals, so it's kind of different for me. But to me, it's a cool memento to have for the event, something to remember it. And when you're flying in and out, that's a really easy thing to take with you, right? I thought it was very interesting to see how David was basically operating within the Scrum atmosphere, right? We would have short sprints of 20 to 45 minutes where we would be looking at solving problems. He would bring us back as a group. We would all present our issues, what we knew, what we didn't know, what we assumed, what we thought of, and what a solution could be. We would take, and these were all done on sticky notes, okay? We would stick them up into their respective categories. We would then all as a team decide what was valuable, what we agreed on, what we disagreed on. And if we disagreed on something, we had the person that wrote it and the person that disagreed with it talk it out and figure out why they disagreed with it. And then the team would effectively vote whether or not we agreed with it. It was a really good way to make sure that everybody had their opinion heard. We also did it in a way that didn't attach names to it. We all had an ID number. It was our team number plus our seat number. So I was 3-2. I was on team 3. I was the second seat in the class. We had 8 total, although technically we had 9. Oh, no, we had 9. Did 9 not show? I forget. We were supposed to have 10. A couple of people didn't show. I think we had ended up with 9. 9 people on our team. But it was one of those cases where even when people, like, violently disagreed with my ideas, I still felt like I was heard. And that's not a very common thing that you find, right? Because communication is a very, very complicated thing, especially when it's in a direct team atmosphere. I mean, hell, look at all the people that have difficulties in relationships due to communication. This was like, how do you solve those in a rapid way and make it so that even if someone is disagreeing with you, that your opinion still feels validated? That's a big friggin' deal, right? Like, I often don't get along with managers. It's why I started my own business. I don't really like working for other people because often I find that managers are so used to you do it my way, screw you for any other thoughts, that they don't spend any time listening to what their employees have to say. And often that results in people getting hurt, people feeling like they're left out, and ultimately higher turnover in the business. And that's what nobody wants. Turnover is a specific problem. I never felt like that. Now, there were definitely times where my skill set, I felt like, I'm like, why am I on this team? This isn't what I do. I don't, like, sure, I've got experience taking electronics apart, but not like, not in the way that this particularly wanted it to be, right? Right? Not in that specific way. I think there was only one time where I got a little bit upset, and I went to David. I said, I don't feel like I'm helping. I don't feel valuable here. He said, well, between you and me, I really like your idea, but you have to do a better job at explaining it to the others so they understand it. He said, what's happening is you have a perishable skill gap that the others don't have. You're missing the ability to communicate with them, and they're missing the knowledge that they need to properly communicate with you. And I'm like, okay, well, what can I do better? He said, well, you know their backgrounds. You seem to be someone that works with a diverse team. So talk to them in a language that they will understand. And as soon as I kind of moved that mindset and started communicating with them the way that they were likely expecting, all of a sudden, people were way more willing and understanding to hear what I had to say. And all of a sudden, I felt like I was part of the team again. It was a really, really interesting kind of epiphany. And I'm hoping to be able to use it on our team at 3D Musketeers, because that skill is a really, really cool skill. Mr. M. Don says, I can definitely confirm how the lack of validating impacts one's ability to join in. I spent all of Friday educating someone at work how alienating is a demotivating effort. As one of the newest members to the company, I fully figure this will completely backfire. Tune into Discord to see if I'm employed on Tuesday. He said, damn it, why can't I have a manager that isn't like that? So a manager that just says, a manager that isn't the do what I say, shut up, I really don't care. So I'm going to have to leave. I said, every day I go to work, I end up asking, why did this company hire me? I'm not doing anything remotely close to my skill set. Well, I might question and say, well, why did you accept it? If it's not close to what you wanted to do, why'd you take the job? Or more specifically, why not find one that does suit your skills? Obviously, I didn't have that option in this team, right? Now, there were very obviously teams that were heavy in additive manufacturing. And I'm like, it seems odd for me not to be on that team because, like, that's my skill set. Like, that's my skill set, right? There's also a team for energy production, and no one had mentioned a thorium reactor. And when I said thorium, somebody on that team perked up and was like, who just said thorium? I said, me. Do you have any knowledge of how to use thorium? I'm like, I mean, you can Google it. It currently exists. He's like, I have been working on a man-portable thorium-based nuclear reactor. How do you know about thorium as a nuclear reactive device? I said, because my ADHD just makes me know a little about a lot of things, and thorium is one of them. For those that don't know, thorium is one of the safest one of the safest isotopes to use in a fission reactor for nuclear power. You can cap them with salt, so their cooling plug can be made out of salt. So if because thorium is a relatively cold nuclear fission process. So in the event that it goes supercritical and actually, gets too warm, the salt melts, water pours into the reactor, instantly cooling down the thorium. The reaction stops and everybody's safe. For those that don't know, Chernobyl had its historic explosion because its cooling system and the backup system for the cooling system both failed. At least I think they had a backup to their backup, but I'm not certain. Either way, their cooling system failed, the reactor went supercritical, and it exploded. Thorium doesn't have that problem because of the way that you can manufacture it, right? And they were just very interested. They're like, do you have the technology to do this? And I said, no. I do 3D printing. I'm just a turbo geek for random science crap, okay? Right? Like, I just like it. They're like, oh my God, talk more about it. I'm like, I don't really know a ton about it. I said, it's your team. You talk about it to your team. I just gave you the footing to talk about it. Use thorium. They ultimately decided to use cobalt-60. specifically because cobalt-60 is used in the medical field for things like x-rays, CTs, and MRIs. I don't think it's used in all of them, but it's used in at least some of them. And they assumed that they could get cobalt-60 without raising eyebrows. I said, well, you could use a shovel and get enough thorium out of the ground by just sticking a shovel in it to run a nuclear reactor for at least a couple of days, and that's not going to get you any attention whatsoever. So yeah, I was the weird thorium guy. I was also the guy that mentioned utilizing a chemical to produce oxygen or CO2. One of the teams had to hide a cache of materials underwater. I said, well, you can send a solid chemical down there that when exposed to water produces a high amount of carbon dioxide gas. In my head, I know it already exists, but I'm like, I feel like it's like a calcium carbonate thing, but I don't remember specifically what it was. And they came over and said, do you build the technology to do this? I said, no, it's a naturally occurring element last I checked, but I don't exactly remember what that element is. They're like, oh, okay. What do you do then? I'm like, I do 3D printing. I'm the 3D printing guy. Like, why are you on this team? I said, I don't know. I was put here, and I'm just doing my best to survive, right? That is going to fall. I can see it stretching. I'm going to go fix it because it's going to bother me. You know what? No. It's a live show. We're not going to fix it. If it falls, it falls. Too bad. But that kind of stuff is where, like, going out and talking to other teams allowed my geek flag to fly and let some of my experience with knowledge and uses of other things be incredibly valuable to other people. And in fact, a couple of my ideas ended up in other team presentations, which I think is super freaking cool. Bearded Printer says, having a good boss is one of the main reasons I've stayed at my current job for so long. He's good at motivating and makes me feel like I'm heard if I have feedback on how to improve things. One of the key things that I say in 3D Musketeers is that I am statistically pretty wrong all the time. I want the team to challenge me. Now, there will be times where I say, no, we're still going to do it my way. Let's just make it happen. But I often will solicit opinions from others, because the goal for me is ensuring that everybody has their voice heard. Now, I still might decide that my decision and my way of doing it is better, because I have experience and everything to go and say, all right, we're going to try this my way. But I always tell the team, if you think you can do it better than me, and you probably can, I just need you to prove it. And as long as you can prove it, dude, we will start doing it your way, and I have no problems with it, right? I got to come up with ideas of what I want in videos, but then I tell the editors, hey, come up with ideas that work. I'm going to find a way that I think will work, and then let's get together and we'll talk about it. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's fine too, right? But doing things my way is dumb, because I'm not the expert in video editing. I'm not the expert in being an engineer. Oh, it's almost down. There's 2 of 3. I am the expert in, well, according to sofwerx, additive manufacturing. I'm an SME for them, subject matter expert, which is still like one of those cool things that I don't know how to put it in a resume or something like that without sounding like a pretentious ass. So if anyone has good ways to, make that sound better, let me know. I would love to, I'd love to get better at talking about my accomplishments without feeling as though I sound like an ass. If you're good at that, I'd love to talk to you. Mr. Amandon says, thorium was also used in the Aladdin lamp mantle to help it glow. I think you're referencing tritium. Tritium naturally glows. It's what's used in firearm sights. So like night sights for a firearm. Those are tritium. What's the other one? Oh, radium, because the radium girls. Radium is the other one that is a naturally glowing radioactive isotope. I'm not certain if it was thorium. Thorium doesn't glow to my understanding. Mr. Madon says, I want to hear others because I don't know everything and I'm hoping someone might have an idea that is just out of this world. Yep, I totally agree. I am the exact same way. But being able to work with people that had, very specific things, like When I had a question about what a special forces operator would do, I asked a special forces guy. Like, the dude gave us a Proton Mail account to email him, which I know, Grit, aren't always burners. If I told you what the email was, you'd say, oh, yeah, that's a burner email. Because of course it is. Of course it's a burner email. Oh, it's falling. There it goes. Okay, apparently it is. It's thorium in gas lanterns. Aladdin lamp locks on mantles, part number R150, made in Brazil. Original 60 candle power thorium formula. These mantles are part of the last batch of thorium mantles made in Brazil. Huh! The thorium emits a very bright light when heated. See? That's friggin' cool! Okay, so it was heated. I didn't realize that it was heated. Yeah, See, I'm now I have dumb knowledge. It's gonna win me money in Jeopardy one day, and now you do too. You're welcome. Geek Toro says, half expected the post to be hiding something that shouldn't be visible on screen. No, it's not. It was just up there so I could have the thing that was back there. No, it's not hiding anything. No, we don't do parts on the machines behind me that can't be shown on screen. That would be very, very not okay. We have to make them on printers that are off screen. But I thought this was a very important thing, and something that, as we've seen in the comments, many managers don't do. You gotta listen to your staff. You gotta give them the opportunity to talk, right? And as the title says, level up collaboration and teams. No pizza parties required. That was my brother. My brother came up with that title, and I thought that was a really cool title because, yep, a lot of companies do it. Hey, let's just give them a pizza party. They'll stop trying to unionize. Let's give them a pizza party instead of a raise. We brought in billions of dollars of money, but we can't afford raises for all of these people, so we'll just buy them some pizza. That'll shut them up. And, yep, unfortunately it works. I don't like that. I know I have a particular problem is that I forget to give people raises. And, like, that's, like, one of my big managerial faults is that I forget to give at least a yearly raise to combat inflation. But, like, I always forget because I don't pay myself right now. So, to me, it doesn't matter what inflation is. I'm still losing money. But I don't do it on the team, and I always forget to do it. And so normally at least one of them will remind me every now and then I can go back and adjust everybody's pay. Because, yeah, people got to be able to survive. And I want to make sure that they can. I just thought it was a really unique experience. And being a part of something that is greater than myself, right? And being very obviously not the expert in the room was awesome. What I didn't realize is the final day, the actual, like, potential buyers, the guy that funded all of these, they were in the audience as we were presenting. I was chosen as one of the presenters. And I was very nervous. And I told the team, I have issues talking about things that I'm not comfortable in understanding. And so they spent quite a bit of time trying to hype me up. I'm like, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this. I'm like, look, guys, I don't have any issues talking in a group of people. I don't mind being the one that's talking to hundreds of people. I've had streams that have hundreds of people in them. There's 36 now, but that's okay. I figure this is not a sexy topic that everybody wants to hear about, but I think it's a good long tail one that people will enjoy. And I'm not worried about it. But it's also because I know what I'm talking about. I'm going to go up there and talk about things that I have very, very little knowledge of. That I'm nervous because I don't want to let you guys down. And they said, well, what do you do for your videos? I said, I just turn on the camera and start talking. They said, all right, turn on a camera, start talking. And I did. And I did a great job. They're like, all right, do that again. Okay, did it again. No problem. They said, all right, time to go on stage. I said, all right, let's go. And I came down to a flurry of high fives, attaboys, and that kind of thing. And that made me feel really good. I didn't need it, and I don't know if I necessarily even wanted it at the time, but I'll tell you, it felt good to be recognized for the fact that you utilized a skill that you have in a meaningful way to help others. Now, you might say, Grant, why the hell would 80 people from all over the world fly in for an event and get paid nothing? We did get fed, but we got paid nothing. Why would all of these people spend this kind of time to do this? What's the purpose? And therein lies the secret of the Innovation Foundry. If you attend an Innovation Foundry and technology that your company can assist with is chosen to actually help the future warfighter, because remember, these are fictional, but the idea is that technology and ideas that are brought up during these events can eventually be built out to be real products. If your company or whatever you do can be utilized and you attended one of these events, or the event that it came from, you can obtain a sole source contract with no bidding required. And there, my friends, is why people attend these. Because you can get a sole source contract with the US government without doing a dime of bidding. And if you don't know what sole source contract means, it means for the duration of that contract, you are the only person, the only company, the only whatever that they can buy from contractually. They cannot circumvent you. They cannot go to anybody else. For the duration of the contract, you get effectively a blank check from the federal government to do the work that you need to do. And that is why people do this. It's why Lockheed Martin had multiple people in attendance. It's why universities had multiple people in attendance. I only had one person, but, that's okay. I was still the 3D printing guy, and I am hoping that something comes out of this. Now, ultimately, going to that event was not about obtaining a sole source contract for me. It was very obviously like that for others. And I really didn't like that, right? There were people in our group and in other groups that were very obviously trying to skew this toward their technology, what their company does, what they do, rather than trying to solve the problem. See, to me, these problems are all about bringing the individual warfighters home. The men, the women, the everything else that are out there fighting for the freedoms and less than freedoms that we enjoy here in the United States and other countries. We want to bring them home. Now, if we can make a couple of bucks doing it, great. But ultimately, for me, the goal is making sure that less people die in war. Because regardless of whether I want it or not, war will continue. So how do we assist that future warfighter to get home safely? That's what you want. If I get a sole source contract from it, great. If I don't, that's fine too. I want it, and I believe it will happen. But if any of the ideas that we came up with that don't use my tech can help bring more people home and less folded flags with a knock at a door, then damn it, I've done my job. And it makes those 3 days 100% worth it. Absolutely worth it. It's not often that you're placed in a group of people that you don't really know. From countries that you've never been to. From universities, businesses that you've never heard of. That's what this event was. It was amazing to be able to communicate with others. And I once again realized that I am incredibly introverted. I don't like crowds. I get uncomfortable because everybody is talking to people that they know, and I don't really know anybody. Hilariously, the day before the event, they had a social at a bar, military bar, which is kind of cool. Bad Monkey in Ybor, if you're in Tampa. I see some people that are just kind of hanging out. I go over, I talk to them. Turns out they're the two people that created the event. One of them is the guy that funds it. The other one is the guy that is a former producer that comes up with the gamified solutions. And I ended up talking with them for about an hour. And I asked, what is the biggest challenge that you see that groups of any kind have when doing these events? And he said, people come in here just wanting to hawk their wares and do nothing but try to sell themselves. He said, those are the ones that will never succeed in these events. The ones that succeed are looking beyond what they can do, what can make them money. And they're looking to solve the actual problem. And I said, well, damn, I'm in good company then, because that's exactly what I plan to do. He's like, what team are you on? I said, I'm on team 3. He said, oh, cool. Okay, so you're the COTS team, the commercial off the shelf, COTS. And I said, yeah, but I'm not exactly certain why I was put on this team. He said, well, what's going on? I said, well, I do additive manufacturing, rapid prototyping, product development, 3D scanning, and very obviously teams 4 and 5, that's what they do. Why was I put on team 3? He said, well, I don't exactly know why you were put on team 3, but likely somewhere in your CV, other skills that you had stood out where they knew they had a deficiency. He said, the nice thing about these events is that you can go work with other teams too. You are required to work with your team. You can't just go switch to another team. But we likely saw, whomever it was, saw that you have skill set that is incredibly valuable in other areas too. And so they likely wanted to put you somewhere that would challenge you more than putting you in your perfect atmosphere to succeed. These events are not about putting people who are experts in places where they're going to succeed. It's about putting experts that have multimodal abilities. They can do more than one thing. Where they're not exactly experts, but they have an incredible desire and passion to learn about what's going on. I said, okay. Well, then I think I was placed on the right team. And he said, good. That means we did our jobs. Oh, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. And it makes me wonder how I can build better teams. Which brings me to one of the reasons we're also doing this. We're hiring again. If you heard me talk about this a while back and you submitted a resume to me, please resubmit a resume. We are hiring in the engineering department and in the media department. So if you can use Autodesk Fusion or SolidWorks or anything like that, if you can use a CAD package and you are good at it, and you also want to potentially be involved with a YouTube channel, hit me up. If you know how to edit videos, write copy, if you know how to do business development. If you know how to do business development for a YouTube channel or for a business for that matter, hit me up. I want to do that kind of stuff. And I want to take it all more seriously. And I need more help. We need more people on our team. So if you think you got what it takes, shoot me an email. If you don't know what it is, DM me on Discord, DM me on Twitter, and I'll get it to you. Stephen Collins says, Blender. Maybe. Blender is a tough one because we often work in parametrics. And so if you have the ability to do parametric modeling within Blender, great. But we have to be able to export step files for a lot of our clients. And so that means that you kind of have to have CAD experience or some sort of add-on to Blender to give it CAD experience, right? To allow it to do step file exporting. David says, getting halfway decent with FreeCAD. FreeCAD, while a skill for that is wonderful, we do need a cloud-based system. And that's why we chose Fusion for this. Fusion, while yes, it's a cloud, and you guys know I don't like clouds, it works because it doesn't require you to be here, right? And it maintains version control. This is remote jobs. You're not working locally. You're working from home, right? It's part-time right now. We will eventually be looking at full-time. But this is a place where cloud is something that's required. Jimmy asks, how about people outside the US? There will be projects that we can, and likely most of the projects that we're working on can work for people outside of the United States. But there will also be projects where it is a requirement for us to maintain USA labor. I know where you live, Jimmy. If you think you got what it takes, just DM me on Discord. You know how to reach me there. But yeah, if you're outside of the US, it does make it difficult for government contracts, but all we have to do is isolate people from the government contract stuff that don't, that aren't approved for it, and we're golden. Mr. Amandon says, I am 63. In my 47 years of work, I've only had 2 managers that identified my skills and got me to utilize them. Those managers are extremely rare. I want to flip that around. Have you been able to properly identify your skills to a manager and describe the ways that you want to be met? Because I think that's the issue that a lot of employees have, is that they're afraid to talk to a manager about what their needs are. Now, if you attempt to do that and your manager just says, screw you, get back to work, fine, I get it. You have a crappy manager. But often I think a lot of managers want to do good. They want to be those really, really good people. But they often don't know how. They don't know what their team needs to succeed, right? Even now, I worry every day that I don't know how to be a good boss to my team. And part of it is that a lot of them just stop taking jobs. Now, for some of them, I know very obviously that life gets in the way. Maybe they're adjusting what they're doing in their careers, and they might not have time for 3D Musketeers anymore, right? We're often the 5 to 8 for people, not the 8 to 5, right? We're the side job. And that's okay. I get it. Our plan is to eventually become a full-time job for somebody. But I worry that they are not working with us anymore because I didn't meet their needs, that I didn't meet them where they needed to be met. And because neither of us really asked the right questions or said the right things, we just kind of politely went our own separate ways, and that was it. Now, you're probably thinking, Grant, you could just ask this. You're right, I could. But I'm often afraid of the answer. But I shouldn't be. Because that answer is what will empower me to be better for others. And whether that is, hey, you weren't paying me enough. Hey, I don't have the time. Hey, I do this for my day job. I don't want to come home and do this again for my non-day job. Whatever those reasons are, hey, you're just an asshole. It could be that too. I don't know. But I feel like I have to ask that question to the team. Because if I don't, I think I'm kind of doomed to fail. And it's this team building event at sofwerx that kind of proved that to me. And while that is hard to kind of absorb, that I'm probably not being the best manager that I could, and I don't exactly know how to be a better manager, it just proves that I, like many of you, have room to grow, and that is okay. Sparks on Tap says, isn't that one of the things that makes a good manager? Being able to identify those things without being told. Maybe. But I would argue that it's a bit of a two-way street. I shouldn't have to rely on my ability to read you like an open book. A lot of people, especially when you're not in an office environment, I only see the top half of people. I don't get to see what their hands are doing. So I can't pick up on cues of like, okay, they're messing with their hands, they're nervous. How can I solve this, right? Or like there's people on our team that I don't even know what they look like. right? I've never seen them on camera, but I care about their skills. So why haven't I seen them? Or are they missing the tech? Are they embarrassed? Like, what's there? You know? This is one of those cases where you don't know what you don't know. And if you are a very quiet individual who, keeps to themselves, I think it's well within a manager's assumption that that's the way you want it, right? I think that it is a bit of a two-way street. And there might be days where, yeah, I just want to be alone. I don't really want to work with others. But man, I'll tell you, when there's somebody else here, even if they're not working with me, right? When Amber's hanging out here, I am so much more effective as a person because, like, I have someone that I can bounce ideas off of really quick. When I take a break, I can take a 5-minute break, hang out, and then go back to doing work. It doesn't just turn into a 2-hour break because I'm in pain, right? I'm motivated to go back and get stuff done so I can go back and do other things, right? Sparks on Tap says that's where the other trait of being a good communicator and open to communication is just as important. You're right. Being open is important. And I think that a lot of us have had such toxic managers throughout our cycle of working for others that we've learned not to be open. Because when you're not open, right, it's the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Well, often the loud, annoying employee is the first one to get in trouble. If you keep your head down and do your work, you don't normally get in trouble. But at the same time, you're not having your needs met. I try to be the more involved manager, but I know that some of our team doesn't necessarily like that. They just want to be told a task, be trusted to do the task, and move on. And that works for some, but it doesn't work for others. So I try to meet our team where they're needed. It is, it's not as easy as you think. I know that I have a lot to learn about being a good manager, and I really kind of want to have David Deaton as a guest. So let me know if you guys want that. I will see if I can get him on as a guest for the podcast to talk about what it's like running one of these events, but also what it's like being a professional team builder and just some basic things that can help employees better communicate with their managers and be able to talk in what could be a potential, high stress environment for them. So, yeah. Mad Cat says, you do a great job. Just need to learn to delegate more and trust the team. Mad Cat's one of our team members. Mad Cat. We can talk about that one more in depth off of air. Talking about it in depth requires airing some dirty laundry that I don't want to do because that's not fair. Mine included, to be fair. I don't want to do that live on air. So we can discuss that more off air. I think that's important. Sparks of Tap says, you have to approach each individual as individuals. Easy to look at them as a whole instead of individuals. Yeah. It is. It is a lot easier. It is a lot easier to say we have a team rather than a group of neurodiverse people that all have ADHD their way into working with us. We have an incredibly diverse team, and one of the big issues with managers of being able to delegate, and I will talk about this from a very vague standpoint. I am not calling out anybody on our team. If it sounds like I'm calling out anybody on our team, I am not attempting to do that. If they happen to also have this problem, it is what it is. But part of, especially for a small business, of releasing some of those holds on what gets done and delegate more is that things don't often get done in the time frame or the manner in which they are expected by their managers. Now, is that a communication problem? Yeah, damn straight it is. I still struggle with being able to accurately communicate my wants and needs to the team. Because I know what I need, I just really suck because I have a small vocabulary. You don't hear me use a lot of big words because I don't know a lot of big words. And in my head, I know what I need, but I don't know how to properly describe it. And I know I'm not the only one that goes through this issue. I presume there is some technical term for this that I'm not aware of. but it means that I suck at delegating because I don't exactly know how to tell someone precisely what I need. And often, by the time I tell them precisely what I need, I could have just done it myself. So, Wexter's here. Wexter says, "Hey, yo, how's everybody? Doing good, dude. Hope you are as well." Steven calls us, "Communication is always big. I've had times when people don't understand you can't work 100% effectiveness, but zero communication." Yeah. David taught me this. He said, we are all trying to produce 100. We are all trying to produce 100. But what you're missing is that the team needs to produce 110%. There are 8 of us or 9 of us here. We need to get to 110%. That means each of you does not need to be at 100. It means you each need to do a very specific thing that contributes to the greater good of the team, and that's it. And damn it, if that just didn't take a huge weight off of my shoulders. One of the first things they told us was that don't come in here with solutions. Come in here with questions. I had a page and a half of questions. Bullet points, but questions. Because I wanted to know more about this scenario. I wanted to understand where our team was. We were in a semi-permissive environment in North Clientia. And I wanted to understand where. Were we on a mountain? Because when you're dealing with bespoke communication, being at a higher elevation or a lower elevation can really matter. Because that means I can use air fiber and just beam things back and forth. Oh, but they talked about jamming, so you can't use that. So I said, all right, I'm going to ignore a lot of my potential solutions. I'm going to come with a lot of questions. And I'm going to do my best to utilize those questions as a method to jump off for innovation and design. And that appeared to be incredibly effective. And I hope to be able to use this more in our team meetings that we have with the company. Brutanical? Sure. Says, why use big words when small words do the trick? Often I still don't know how to say it with small words. Like I know what I need it to be, but I don't know how to get it there by telling it to others. I just intrinsically know how to do it myself. And that's where being able to properly describe things and like dictate it. Nope, that's the wrong word. Dictate's not the right word. Turn it into processes. Like be able to take things and burn them into processes. That's where there's value. Right? That's where there's value. Sorry, it was an Office reference, but glad it started a thought. Wait, that's an Office reference? Oh. Whoops. Sorry. I missed that. I'm sorry. Sparks on tap says guilty as charged. I end up getting frustrated and just doing it myself faster. Yeah. I get frustrated because I know what I need, but I don't know how to properly describe it. And I say, you know what? F it. I'll just do it myself. And that's where I often fail to delegate. So, I don't know. I'm going to see how much it would be to have a professional team builder try to work with 3D Musketeers. I'm just not certain we are large enough to need such a thing. I don't know. I feel like it could be really beneficial. I don't know if we have the profit to make that valuable, but I don't know. Maybe we do, you know? I don't know. Matt says, oftentimes the use of a large vocabulary serves as a means to obfuscate the intended meaning of a message. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. People often use big words to just sound like a big man with his big words and his big truck with his tiny Wexter. What? Uh, and I don't like that. But I often find myself missing. Uh, oh, I could use a big word to describe this. I often find myself missing the the true ability to be loquacious, which I believe is uh, describing something with extreme detail. I'm going to now Google it to verify. Oh, I can't spell. Tending to talk a great deal. Well, that doesn't help. Damn it. See? I don't even know what the words mean half the damn time. Hell, actually says, hey, I'll allow. You damn right you will allow it. Mad Cat says, maybe taking a moment to try to stop and think of a way to communicate what you need instead of jumping in and doing it yourself. Well, okay, I'm doing something wrong immediately. The first thing I did was say, I don't like that. How can I come up with a, like, my instant reaction is, I don't like doing that. That's the wrong reaction to have. I'm just not certain how I would do it correctly. And I think that's why I say no, because I'm missing the skill set to do it properly, because I've tried and I've failed. This is what professional development looks like, literally live. You're watching professional development live. Duff says, from a business/open source project point of view, don't just bring on people that just show interest without proper vetting. It can get toxic fast. Yep. Yep. And everyone that was at this event was properly vetted. Oh, I met someone super freaking cool. I met one of the founders of Z Polymers. You might not know the name, but you probably know what they make. They make the Tullamer filament that has Kevlar-like capabilities. I was talking with this person at the social event. She says that was loud. You should know this by now. And she comes to me, she says, oh, 3D Musketeers, do you do like 3D printing? I'm like, yeah, actually. She's like, oh man, I actually started a company that does stuff like this. I don't work there anymore. I exited and now I'm in the battery field. She's like, well, what type of process do you work with? Are you extrusion? Are you polymer? I said, yep, we would do a lot of extrusion-based polymer. We have metal-based extrusion. We also do photopolymer resin. We do sandstone. We have some powder. And I have access to metal. She said, well, a company that I founded and that I co-founded and worked with, we made a filament that closely resembles Kevlar. I said, are you one of the founders of Z Polymers and Tullamer? She's like, how do you know this? I'm like, because I'm a turbo geek for this stuff. I'm brought in on as a subject matter expert for additive manufacturing. Of course I know Z Polymer Tullamer. I've been trying to get some. So she gave me her card for her new company. So, oh, that was super cool. And throughout the event, every time we saw each other, we would just wave. We would say hi. We weren't on the same team. She was on the battery team, where I hope that she can bring some really, and I believe she did, bring a lot of good value to that team. It was also very refreshing to see that while it was a relatively male-dominated event, there was probably a 70-30 split, that there was a 30% female presence. Or I should say 70% female presenting presence is probably the right way to say that. Since it's government, there weren't any pronouns, so you kind of have to make assumptions based on what your eyes tell you. And I will say, from a government perspective, that is a very, very high amount of non-male individuals. So I was very happy to see that. I wish it would be closer to 50-50, but I get that not a lot of women find this type of stuff potentially as interesting as the men doing men things, which is stupid. I hate that that's the societal thing that we've come to, but it is. Man, there was an operator, a special operation forces operator female. She was a badass. She was talking about like actual combat, how they've done field repairs on things, and what we should expect the average operator to be able to do. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. You have actual skill set that nobody else in the room has. That was super cool. Theater Printer says, I found it takes more effort to properly communicate what you need because it's not just about telling them, it's about following up to make sure everybody is on the same page. Yeah. And I think that I fail on that second part, that I don't follow up as well because, like, I don't personally require follow up, so I assume others don't either. And that's a bad assumption to make. I'm doing better. But I am actively trying to find more mentors. What I've learned in life is that if you want money, don't ask for it. If you want mentorship, you ask for money. Because a lot of people won't give you any money, but they'll give you advice. If you ask for advice, you might not get it from the right sources. So I should say, I'm looking for money. When in reality, I'm actually looking for advice. I'm hoping to find somebody to assist me in becoming a better overall communicator. I believe I communicate quite well, but this event showed that I have a lot to learn. Watching David Deaton just run this group of unique individuals, make jokes when it was appropriate, keep us on track when it was appropriate, let us tangent when we had the time, but bring us back was incredibly valuable. He even did this thing where if there were ever side conversations, instead of just waiting for them to shut up or telling them to shut up, he would say, so I'm going to bring you guys back into the conversation. That is one of the most productive ways that I have ever seen somebody completely eliminate side conversations over and over and not sound like an ass. That is such a, like, dude, if that ever happens in your day job, just say, hey, I'm going to bring you guys back in to the main conversation. Let's see what we can do to make this all work. That is such a non-confrontational way of saying, pay attention, that I've ever seen. And I hope to be able to pick that up in a meaningful way for our team, because we often have a challenge of, ADHDing our way all around the field and stay away from what could be the main subject. And while, yes, tangents can be valuable, staying on task and getting the specific task at hand completed first is often the main reason you're having the meeting in the first place. Tangenting can happen once we've solved the main problem, and that's what we effectively did. He allows us to have all the side conversations that we want when we answer the questions about why we were together in the first place. Like, did we get together to talk about solutions that we brought to the table, right? Well, if someone had a good solution, we might start talking about that. He'd bring us all back and say, all right, why was that good? Let's talk about it. Rather than just letting us tangent on and on. Because as soon as you lose that focus, you lose the actual value of the meeting itself. And if you lose the value of the meeting, you've got a huge issue when it comes to keeping people on track. Macca says tangents can be incredibly valuable for team building. It allows for inspiration and to spontaneously arise, but it has to be controlled. Exactly. It does. It was a lot of fun. Like, I would do this event as many times as I could. And I know that that's weird because it's a lot of my time. I found that I like burning my own time to help others. It's why we're working with the Cade Prize. It's why we're starting to work with local aquariums, like the Florida Aquarium and the Clearwater Aquarium. It's why we're working in businesses and like trying to work with people that we can actually help. We're solving real problems for real people for real reasons. Do we make the most money? Nah, we don't. That's okay. I don't need to make $40 million to be happy, right? If you don't know this, you should look it up. It's the position of FU, but you got to write out the F word. It's a speech from John Goodman from the movie The Gambler. And I think that that is a very, very valuable thing to listen to as a business owner, right? It's the position of FU. Because at a certain dollar value to a person, you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. If you don't like your neighbor, you can buy their house. F you. Right? You don't like your boss? F you. Doesn't matter. You got enough money. It doesn't matter. If one of the mods can post it, there's two versions of it. There's a 6-minute version that provides context and the minute and 15-second or so that doesn't provide context, but it's not necessary. I don't think the context is necessary. The movie's an okay movie, but that particular speech, the position of FU, I think is a valuable one to listen to because it shows that you can have a whack ton of money. But if you have any more than about $3 million, you're getting it for a lot of kind of odd reasons. And you're not potentially doing good with it. Because at $3 million, you can live off of the interest very happily for the rest of your life. You can take a very, very good draw from it. But that's not really about team building, right? But that's my motivation is to get to a point where I'm financially stable enough to do whatever I need to do to help whoever I need to help, but still be able to be valuable to my own team. Is everyone just saying 39 million? I mean, 39, I think it's 2.7 million is the number they use in the thing. Just watch the piece, damn it. Sporlex says, I'm having enough money that you can prioritize mental health. The FU is the mental health. Yeah. Yep. That was something that I talked with Deaton about. I said, hey, just so you know, a little neurodiverse, got some ADHD about me. He said, no problem. Most people here probably do. He said, I outwardly assume that most people are neurodiverse, regardless if they know it or not. And so I will give you guys tasks that will help me determine what you need from me so that I can help you. I think that's pretty awesome. Let me make sure Mad Cat linked the right one. I'm gonna look at it. Yep, that's it. 213,000 views 8 years ago. That's it. That's the one. That's the one. The Duchess says the older I get, the more value I find in the FU. Yeah. Yeah, I had to learn a lot about saying no at that event. Had to learn a lot about a lot of things, and it was awesome. I took home a lot about team building. I took home a lot about thinking outside the box. I took home a lot about learning how to interact with others. And I took a lot of just being me, which is a little bit cheeky, but a team player, right? Because when I brought bags full of medals on day 2 for everybody, the commander said, you know I was joking, right? I said, I did. But I also have the ability to mass manufacture with over 70 3D printers at my shop, and I live local. So as people say, smoke them if you got them. And he said, dude, that's impressive. I said, well, it means a lot coming from you, sir. And his response to me was, you don't have to call me sir. You've never served. I said, that's okay. It's how I address most people that I don't know. His name is Commander Cox, COX. I doubt anybody makes fun of him now, because he is a very, very high-ranking individual in the U.S. military. It was very cool to be able to work directly with him and other people who are actively trying to solve the issue of warfighters not making it home. It's the last thing you want is the family member of a service member to get that knock on your door with black cars out front and a folded flag in hand. It's not what you ever want to hear or see. That was a cool event. Bearded Printer says, didn't know I was neurodiverse until I was 33. It was quite eye-opener. Let me see when I found out. Because I actually keep the results on my desk. They've gotten damaged over the years. I was 31 years old. I'm 34. So 3 years ago, I found out. And certainly that has helped me better understand myself, which in turn means I can better understand others at the same time. Gingy says, mildly tangent, but I've been finding lately that there's something that I instantly think I don't want to do that. Then it's probably the thing I really should be doing. Amen to that. Amen to that. But how do you force yourself, right? David taught us a lot about that. He taught us how to challenge the nose, but personally challenge the nose. Find a solution around it. But we also had the fun thing of we were working in the future, right? I've got a valve stem cap in my back. Like, my butt hurts. A valve stem cap in my back pocket still, because I had a tire blowout on the highway as we were driving home from Miami. Yeah. It was awesome. It was a really good event. I am bum exhausted. But now if I do another one, I already have the medal done. All I gotta do is just change the numbers. And I can redo this entire medal in like 5 minutes and then get them printing again. So at least if I do another one, I'm set and I can start with having them for my team. This is Gold Winter Glitter. Bold Blue. This is Galaxy Black Prussian Mint. And there was printed solid Army Green. So all but one color were all printed solid filament. The only reason I did Galaxy Black is because I still had it loaded into the Mark IV's from when we did our testing with it. So I said I'm just going to keep printing with it. So no winter chicken dinner. Well, it's called Gold Winter Glitter, okay? That's what I know. As Beaver Printer says, power parametric modeling. That's right. Madcat says, can't wait to get my PS yellow soon. Hint. Yeah, so I normally do all of the giveaway orders on Friday. But I was driving home on Friday. So let's go over that one for a bit. Just for fun. Since we're past the hour-and-a-half mark. Anyways, let's just hang out for a bit. So, Thursday night. Amber had work. I had thing from sofwerx. I went back up to the house to pack and get some stuff shipped out. Oh, which means I ship stuff out on whatever. I ship stuff out when I need to ship stuff out. Thursday night, we drive down to Bradenton, where my parents live. We stay down there for the night because it's about an hour-and-a-half south. So that I'm an hour-and-a-half south to start my drive to Miami. Because Micro Center opened at 10 a.m., and that is their grand opening. The reason that we went was because they were offering an additional 20% off of Windows laptops. And I picked up an HP Omen with a 14700HX and a 4070 graphics card. 32 gigs of RAM, and a 1 terabyte SSD. And before you ask, it is a 115 watt 4070 that can boost up to 140 watts apparently. So it's a full power 4070. It's not like it's a, one of those 50 watt 4070s. That's BS. That was not it was not a cheap laptop, right? Its retail price was $1,200, but I paid $959 because it was an additional 20% off. So it was totally worth it. But on top of that, my mom's entire family lives in Miami. So we went and visited my grandmother. I got a photo from that. I figure I'll show you guys the photo. Because my grandmother is an awesome lady. Let me pull that for you. Hold on here. For all those wondering, if I focus, damn it. My God, this camera sometimes. That is my grandmother. She is awesome. And for those wondering if I am half Cuban, there's your proof. That's my grandmother. She is 94. She was the lady that we called on stream a couple of weeks back. That's her. That's my grandmother. And so going down there, the Micro Center is like 20 minutes from my grandmother. So we went there. We did some filming. And then we went to go hang out with my grandmother. We had dinner with my cousin. And then we drove back. It was a one-day trip. But it means that it was a tough one. We didn't leave Miami until about 11 o'clock at night. It is a 4-hour drive back minimum. About a 4.5-hour drive. So I was looking at like 3:30 to get home, right? Which is fine. No big deal. About 5 minutes from where I had to drop off Amber where her car was, we hit a pothole. A deep pothole. Amber went out and got measurements of it the next day. It is 55 inches long, 30 inches wide, and over 5 inches deep. It has got a patch in the front of it and a patch behind it, and when you're driving, it looks like another patch in the road. It was not. I had a blowout of my front passenger tire instantly. We slowed down as fast as we could. I think another tire might be damaged. We'll find out. But that tire is absolutely shredded. She left her car at her grandparents' place. I was able to limp it by driving it in the dirt to get to her grandparents' place because, focus, please. Jeez, how hard is it? Why do you not focus on whatever? It's a really messed up car tire, okay? You're just going to have to believe me when I say that the car tire is absolutely shredded, okay? I didn't want to use the crappy scissor jack that comes with the car, and I don't keep a hydraulic jack in my car, but her grandfather had one, so we limped it to their house, driving it on, like, in the grass, so I didn't destroy the wheel too much. We got there, had the spare on. The spare still holds air, which is crazy, because it's 22 years old. It does not appear that the wheel is damaged, but I don't have a great way to check it, so... but Micro Center had some other good deals there. They had some doorbuster, like 50 cent mouse mats, 400 by 450. So not too bad for 50 cents. That's a great deal, 50 cents. Picked up some power strips. They were giving away some mugs, so I got a new mug. But that's really it. Amber got a keyboard. We met some cool other content creators that were there, and they did let me put a GoPro in the filament carousel, which is super cool. We did film a video there. But I'm not exactly certain. I'm not exactly certain how I'm going to integrate that into a different video. So we'll see. Because the video itself feels a lot like a paid advertisement, and it definitely isn't. They didn't pay me to do any of that. But I did speak to their marketing director that like runs all their social media stuff, and yeah, the dude was super cool. Everybody there was super cool. We worked with some great people. Jorge and James, thank you both for helping me out. It was great. It was really cool. It's cool to have a Micro Center in Florida. And little birdies tell me that we might be getting some other ones in Florida relatively soon. So I'm excited for that too. But yeah, that's been my past 4 days. 5 days, I guess. I got back, what, 6 a.m. almost Saturday morning. Slept until 9 a.m. Was up all day. I was very quiet. So people that were hanging out yesterday in the Discord, they're like, "Why are you so quiet?" I said, "Because I'm absolutely exhausted. I am so exhausted." Beer Printer says, "Sounds like it would make some good YouTube shorts." Well, that's good because we recorded it both in vertical and horizontal. So I think we got it. But yeah, I stuck the they let me do a couple with the GoPro, so we did one horizontal then one vertical. So it worked out well. Oh, and they have a really cool custom table from Bamboo. Their Bamboo display looks very good. Bamboo's making custom displays for them now. And the table has poop chutes built into it. So the poop from the printers can go down underneath the table into a bin, but they actually are currently using it for whatchamacallit. They're using it for cable management. So yeah. Geek Toy says, I still don't know why they won't come to Maker Faire. They're like 10 minutes from our venue. I wish I had known that, but I gave the guy who would make those decisions my card. So hopefully he'll reach out to me and maybe I can try to figure that out for you. Sploak said, did I see the protopasta samples done as dragons? No, they were not there. Their protopasta samples were not there. They had protopasta filament, but not the samples. This is the second store to have the big vertical carousel of filament. So you scan a QR code or you scan a barcode, and this whole system moves, and lights show you where your filament is. You just grab it out of the thing. It is so effing cool. We have a little bit of a video of me using it. It is crazy cool, and it allows them to hold a ton of filament in a very small space. But for the cool geeks out there, it is in the old location of Tiger Direct. Tiger Direct used to have retail stores back in the day, and that was where it used to be. It's in the same location as where Tiger Direct used to be. So it's like one of those following the geekdom things. James Perner said, like a vending machine. No, it's not like a vending machine. Oh, what is it called? Prusa has them for storing electronic components. Hospitals have them for storing drugs. A lot of companies use them for inventory management. Carvana for filament. That's not a bad way to put it, but it's not all clear. It would be so much cooler if it was clear, but it's not. Epics? It's called is that Epics? Oh, I think you're just saying Epic. But yeah, it is freaking cool. They let me put cameras in it, which is even cooler. It uses a light curtain so you can't like reach into it. Yeah, it was really nice. I want to work with them on their displays. I think their displays could be adjusted to look real cool. They're currently very utilitarian, but I want to make them look cooler. So we'll see what happens. I proposed some ideas for content. We'll see if maybe they'll give us the hookup. But yeah, I got a new laptop. Got a 3D scanning laptop, which was awesome. You talked to the store manager. I did, but the store manager was not the highest up person there, right? They had VPs, they had, buyers, they had a lot of like important people that were there, way more important than me, that's for sure. Yeah, it was a cool thing. Bummed about the tire. I'm gonna get it fixed on Tuesday. So we'll see. We will see. I'll be curious to see if the rim is messed up. I hope it's not, because it's a 22-year-old car, and finding factory wheels for that is proven challenging. But it looked like one of the rear passenger tire was getting a little bit low, so I have a feeling that might have been damaged too. But I got my tires from Sam's, and that means I have a road hazard warranty, so the tires will be covered completely for free, which I'm happy about. But yeah, stay for after when I'm about to do my outro. If you are watching live, stay till after I'm done, because that's when we're going to give away filament. Okay? I'm going to do my outro. Don't go anywhere. Okay? That's all I got for you guys today. We've done an hour 45, way longer than I wanted this to be. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all liked learning about the Straits of Adversaria. I will post the entire pamphlet packet that we used in the Discord if you want to take a look at it and you can kind of see what it was like. It was super awesome. It's a very big file, so I can't like put it up on Twitter or something like that. But it is proof of public release, so we're good to go. That's all I have for you all today. Think about being better in your teams, whether you are a manager or otherwise. Think about being better, because I think we all can do better. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. Check your tires more often, I guess. Don't forget to leave a like. And as always, keep making awesome. Have a good one. Okay. I ended the recording. Now, let's give away some filament. Oh, look, my numbers jump up as soon as I say we're going to give away some filament. 20 responses, that's it? Man. You'd think you give away free filament. You think you get more than 20 responses. But all right, I'm going to close the giveaway. And let's give away some filament. Sort from A to Z. Today is the 25th. And yeah, that's actually why I wasn't able to stream on Wednesday, because I was doing that. Couple of things. I can see OSRX Butcher. I see you entered again, but you've already won. So, whatever. Let's put it into the wheel of names. A, delete, V, shuffle a few times. Let's see who we got. I think that person won. Yep, they've already won. So, moving on. Let me make sure they did it all correct. They did. NYCIRL. You have won some filament from Printed Solid. You get a free roll of Jesse filament, whichever one that you want. Let's give away one more, and then I will send you all to go hang out with Mr. Steve Builds. That person also has already won this month, so we're gonna draw another one. You can only win once a month. I think that's fair. Gives ability for other people. You make sure that they did everything right. Where is this name? It looks like they're good. Yeah. This is DD. This is DD. You have won. Let me see if they're in the chat. Shannon says that she likes that I do a one a month, gives others a better chance. I try. I think that's fair. I don't know. It feels like it's fair to me. But yeah, if you want, please reach out to me via Discord DM or over on Twitter. That way we will get you your filament. I've got a lot to do. I'm going to try to get my backlog taken care of today, but I am still feeling like absolute crap because I have worked a lot of hours this past week, and I even changed a car tire at 2:30 in the morning, and by the time we were done with everything, it was 4 a.m. So I will see you all later. I'm going to set it up so you all go hang out with Mr. Steve Builds. Let me do that real quick. Mr. Steve is finishing the black box. So go head over to Steve. Go hang out with him. I will see you all later. Don't forget to leave a like. Get subscribed. Take care.